The cake hadn't even been cut when my 8-year-old granddaughter tugged on my sleeve and whispered the 11 words that destroyed her parents' entire plan. "Grandpa, they're taking your house after the party. Don't sign anything." I nearly dropped my lemonade. Iris had Joanne's eyes, the same sharp, knowing look my wife gave me whenever I was about to trust someone who hadn't earned it. "What did you say, sweetheart?" She glanced toward the patio, where my son Chandler and his wife Melody were laughing too loudly. It was the kind of laughter people use when they're performing happiness instead of feeling it. "Mum and Dad have papers in the car," Iris whispered. "Mr. Bennett is coming after cake. They said you're getting confused, so you'll sign your house over." I heard them practicing. I crouched beside her. "Are you certain?" "I'm not lying. Mom said you won't remember signing by next week. Dad said they had to do it before Aunt Rachel arrived." That last part turned my stomach cold. Before Rachel arrived. That meant this wasn't an innocent conversation. It was scheduled, rehearsed, designed around keeping my daughter away long enough to prevent questions. My name is Charles Whitaker. I was 72 that afternoon, retired after 40 years of running a small architectural firm in Philadelphia. I had designed homes, additions, offices, and half the sunrooms in our neighborhood. I wasn't confused, but there's something no one tells you about aging. Once people decide you're becoming confused, every disagreement becomes evidence. Every forgotten appointment becomes a symptom. Every refusal becomes proof that you no longer understand what's best for you. 6 months before my birthday, Chandler and Melody had asked Joanne and me to sit down for what they called a family planning conversation. It sounded thoughtful. That was the danger. "We want to make sure everything is protected," Melody had said, sliding a folder across our dining table. "Protected from what?" I asked. "In case something happens." "Nothing is happening. My doctor says I'm healthier than most men 10 years younger." Chandler leaned forward with his concerned son expression, the same face he used as a teenager when he wanted a later curfew. "Dad, you forgot Mom's book club pickup last month. And you left the stove on." I had left a kettle boiling once. One kettle. That was their entire medical case against me. What they conveniently ignored was that Joanne and I already had an estate plan. Our attorney, Claire Vance, had created a trust years earlier. Chandler knew it. Melody knew it. They weren't trying to help us plan. They were trying to redirect what had already been planned. Melody mentioned an attorney named Bennett who specialized in vulnerable situations. Then she suggested inviting him to my birthday party for a casual, low-pressure conversation. A lawyer at a birthday party. Nothing says low pressure like estate documents beside a sheet cake. Still, I gave them the benefit of the doubt, because parents do that. Even when your child is 41 and behaving suspiciously, part of you still sees the little boy who once fell asleep on your shoulder during long car rides. That part of me was about to receive an expensive education. Our backyard looked ridiculous that afternoon. White balloons, folding tables, deviled eggs, a banner announcing my age to the entire neighborhood, and a cake large enough to qualify as construction material. Rachel was flying in from Washington with her husband Cole, but their flight had been delayed. They expected to arrive around 3, Iris warned me at 1:40. Then I noticed the unfamiliar tan sedan in the driveway. Beside it stood a man in a grey suit, checking his phone. He didn't belong at a backyard party with paper plates and Sinatra playing through a Bluetooth speaker. He belonged in an office where people signed things they regretted. Mr. Bennett had already arrived. I took Iris gently by the shoulders. "You did the right thing. Now I need you to keep playing and not tell your parents you warned me." Her eyes widened. "Am I in trouble?" "No, sweetheart. You may have just saved your grandfather's future." I found Joanne in the kitchen rearranging a vegetable tray that didn't need rearranging. When I told her what Iris had heard, her expression moved from disbelief to fury, then settled into something cold and strategic. "They're doing it today," she said. "It appears so. At your own birthday party." "Yes." She placed the serving spoon down. "Charles, we are not causing a screaming match in front of 40 guests." I wasn't planning to. "Good. Because I have a better idea." In 46 years of marriage, I learned that Joanne was the strategist. I designed buildings. She designed consequences. "We let them think it's working," she said. I went outside and found Chandler near the drink cooler holding a beer he clearly didn't want. "I noticed Mr. Bennett is here," I said. "Your mother mentioned paperwork." He startled, then recovered. "Nothing major. We thought after cake we could update a few documents." "Sounds reasonable." Relief crossed his face so clearly it almost embarrassed me. "We'll meet in the study afterward," I said. "Perfect. We just want to make sure you and Mom are protected." "Of course you do." Then I called Rachel from the garage. When I told her what was happening, airport noise disappeared beneath her silence. I'm going to murder my brother. I need you present, not incarcerated. When we enter the study, follow us and start recording. Count on it. My third call was to Claire Vance, our real attorney. Tell me you're not signing anything, she said. Not unless it's Chandler's confession. I explained the plan. Claire immediately recognized Bennett's name. There's an attorney by that name who handles simplified guardianship and property transfers. Predatory documents disguised as family protection. Charles, depending on what's inside those papers, this may be attempted elder financial exploitation. That phrase landed harder than I expected. Not family planning. Exploitation. Photograph everything, Claire said, and do not sign a single page. Rachel and Cole arrived shortly after 3. She hugged me, slipped her phone into her jacket pocket, and whispered, "I'm ready." We sang. I blew out the candles. Everyone applauded. Iris sat beside me, watching her parents. "Are you going to sign?" she whispered. "No. What are you going to do?" "Something more interesting." At 3:35, Melody appeared at my side, wearing the same sugary smile she had used 6 months earlier. "Charles, Chandler, and Mr. Bennett are ready." Lead the way. The study smelled of cedar from shelves I had built 30 years earlier. Chandler once crawled under my drafting table in that room. His childhood drawings were still stored in a box above the bookcase. Now he stood beneath them, while a stranger prepared to help him take my house. Bennett shook my hand and opened a folder. "Just 2 straightforward updates," he said. "A revised power of attorney granting Chandler and Melody authority over your financial decisions, and a deed transfer placing the property into a joint family trust." "For tax purposes?" I asked. "Exactly." There it was. A man's lifetime reduced to a smooth explanation and a signature line. I opened the folder and read slowly. The power of attorney gave Chandler and Melody control over every account and asset. The deed was worse. 70% of the house would be placed into a trust, controlled solely by them. Buried in paragraph 4 was a clause stating that the current residents, Joanne and me, could be relocated to alternative accommodations if the trustees decided it was necessary. The trustees were Chandler and Melody. They weren't simply taking ownership. They were creating a legal mechanism to put us in a care facility and keep the house. My hands remained steady. "This is thorough," I said. "We wanted it comprehensive," Bennett replied. "I'd like my wife and daughter present before I sign." Chandler's expression cracked. "Dad, that isn't necessary. If I'm signing away the house your sister grew up in, I think she deserves to hear the explanation." He couldn't refuse without exposing himself. I opened the door. Joanne was waiting outside. Rachel stood behind her with her phone recording. Cole followed, and Iris slipped quietly into the room beside the bookshelf. I returned to the desk. "Mr. Bennett, read paragraph 4 aloud." His smile tightened. "It's a standard care provision. Then reading it should be easy." Melody tried to interrupt, but Joanne's voice cut through the room. "Family doesn't hide things from family." Bennett read the clause. Rachel stared at him. "Translate it into normal language." He cleared his throat. "If the trustees determine the residents require additional care, they may relocate them and assume possession of the property. The residents being us," Joanne said. "And the trustees being Chandler and Melody," Rachel added. She turned to her brother. "You brought a lawyer to Dad's birthday party to get him to sign a document allowing you to place our parents in a nursing home and take their house." "It isn't like that," Melody said. "It's only a precaution." "Then remove paragraph 4, I said. Silence. "If you would never use it, strike it from the document." Bennett's professional confidence vanished. "My role is only to facilitate what my clients requested. Your clients are Chandler and Melody. I didn't hire you, yet you're sitting in my study asking me to transfer my home." Chandler finally spoke. "We were trying to protect you." Then Iris stepped forward. "You said Grandpa wouldn't remember." Every adult turned toward her. Melody's face emptied of color. "Iris, go outside. I heard you in the kitchen. You said to make Grandpa sign before Aunt Rachel came. You said he was old and confused. You misunderstood. I'm not lying." Her voice was small, but it didn't shake. "I told Grandpa because you were going to steal his house. I had run a company through recessions, buried both my parents, and spent decades standing firm in rooms full of contractors trying to intimidate me. But I had never been prouder of anyone than I was of that 8-year-old girl." Chandler tried again. "Dad, this is being blown out of proportion." "No," I said, "this is exactly the proportion." For the first time, I let him hear the full weight of my anger. "You decided the easiest way to secure your inheritance was to convince everyone that I was mentally incapable. You scheduled this after cake, when you expected me to be tired and distracted. You arranged it before Rachel arrived because you knew she would ask questions. You brought an attorney who specializes in taking control from older people. I looked at my son. The only mistake in your plan was forgetting that your daughter possesses the conscience you abandoned. Bennett gathered his papers. I had no knowledge of any intent to misrepresent these documents. I already have independent counsel, I said. She'll be reviewing every page, along with your firm's name and license information. That finally frightened him. I think it's best that I leave. Joanne opened the door. That's the first useful thing you've said. Bennett's sedan disappeared from the driveway moments later. Chandler assumed the confrontation was finished. It wasn't. We're going back outside, I said. Melody stared at me. You're going to humiliate us in front of everyone. No, you humiliated yourselves when you used my birthday as cover for stealing my home. I'm going to make certain the people who love me know I did not give it away willingly. We returned to the backyard together. The conversation softened as guests noticed our faces. I tapped a fork against my glass. Thank you all for coming, I began. At 72, I thought the greatest surprise today would be surviving all these candles. A few people laughed. I thanked Joanne, Rachel, Cole, and finally Iris. Today, my granddaughter showed more courage than many adults ever find. Iris squeezed my hand. Then I looked at Chandler and Melody. I'd also like to thank my son and his wife for teaching me something. No matter how long you provide for certain people, they may still see your work as something to take, rather than something to honor. The yard became silent. Today, Chandler and Melody brought an attorney to my birthday party. While all of you were outside celebrating, they attempted to convince me to sign over my finances and my home by claiming I was too confused to understand the documents. Someone near the cake whispered, "Good God." They scheduled it before my daughter arrived because they knew she would question them. The only reason I still own my house is that an 8-year-old child heard their plan and warned me. Every eye turned toward Iris. So today, I learned exactly who I can trust with my future. Chandler tried to interrupt. You're making it sound worse than it was. I faced him, then explained the better version. He couldn't. For 41 years, my son had always found something to say. That afternoon, he had nothing. Joanne, I said, I believe we still have a cake to cut. The party didn't return to normal. I didn't expect it to. Chandler and Melody left within 20 minutes. No one followed them. No one defended them. Iris stayed. When her parents reached the car, she asked, "Can I sleep at Grandma and Grandpa's tonight?" Melody's face crumpled, but she nodded. Later, after the guests were gone, the three of us sat on the porch eating raspberry cake directly from the container. Am I going to get in trouble? Iris asked. No, I said. You did what many grown people are too afraid to do. You told the truth. Mom will be angry. Joanne wrapped an arm around her. Your mother made her choices. You are not responsible for repairing them. Your only job is to be 8 years old. The consequences came quietly. Claire confirmed that the documents were exactly as predatory as they appeared. With Rachel's video and my photographs, she filed a complaint against Bennett with the state bar. Then Joanne and I rewrote our trust. Chandler and Melody were not restricted. They were removed. Every asset, account, and inheritance clause bearing their names was changed. Rachel and Cole became responsible for executing our estate. A separate protected trust was created for Iris, one her parents could never access, manage, borrow against, or touch. Chandler called repeatedly. His messages moved from defensive to apologetic, then desperate when he realized he had lost any claim to our estate. Melody mailed a handwritten letter insisting they had only been trying to protect their future. That sentence told me everything. Their future, not ours. I never responded. Some people expect every family story to end with forgiveness at Christmas, tears over dinner, and everyone pretending betrayal was merely poor communication. That isn't what happened. What my son and his wife attempted was not a misunderstanding. It was a deliberate plan to exploit my age, my trust, and my love for them. There was no reconciliation. Chandler and Melody are no longer part of our holidays, our estate, or our future. But Iris still visits every other weekend. She helps Joanne in the garden. She sits in my study drawing pictures at the same desk where her parents once tried to take everything from me. Sometimes she pauses and looks around the room, as though checking that the shelves, the desk, and the house are still exactly where they belong. They are. They will remain that way. Because on my 72nd birthday, while balloons swayed in the backyard and the cake waited to be cut, an 8-year-old girl whispered the truth her parents had spent 6 months trying to hide. They believed age had made me weak. They believed love had made me blind. They believed I would sign away my home to preserve the peace. They were wrong. And in the end, The smallest person at that party was the only one brave enough to expose them.